I'm Patrick Bailey with whiteboardcoder.com. Today is April 19th, 2017. And in this video, I'll be going over how to set up Gollum to auto-sync with a remote Git repository. Okay, so I already have Gollum set up on this machine to use it. So if you don't have that set up right now, you can actually go click on this video up here on the upper right. And I have a link to a video I did on how to set up a Gollum server on Ubuntu 16.04. But I'm assuming you have that set up. If not, you can go watch the video. So I have it set up here. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to make a directory. I'm going to call it push test. Pushtest.git. So I'll go in here, and what I'll do is I'll just create a bare Git repository. So I'll just initialize it, and I'll do some configurations, some simple stuff. Git config. I don't want to do global. User.email. Just going to set up some junk. You might already have your stuff configured, but I have mine usually locally, so just some simple things. So now when I submit things, we'll submit as Patrick and you at example.com. And then we make a file. I'll just echo hello world out into a file, test.txt. So far so good. I got a Git repository, and if I do a git status, it should see that I need to add that. So I'll do a git add all, and a git commit, and just call it first commit. So we should be good to go, and I just have a simple Git repository, nothing much going on. So I'll do a git log -n1, and I can see I have that initial commit. I guess if I do a 2, I still only get the 1. So far, I've just set up a small local repository, and so now the next thing I want to do is actually set up a remote Git repository to push this to. Okay, so now over here I have another server. It's just a bare bones Ubuntu 16.04 server. In fact, I guess I can show that. There we go, 16.04. And I'm going to set this up as my Git repository, remote repository that I can push to. So there's several different ways to do this. I only want to push via SSH to make life simpler and more secure, really. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a special user who's going to be the Git user. So I'm going to do a user add. I'll add a user just called Git -m-s. And the special thing about this user is you assign them a shell to use. And this time I'm assigning them the shell git-shell. And that's a special shell that Git uses so that Git user cannot technically log in. So if they try to SSH to this box as the Git user, they'll get rejected. But they can send stuff over SSH protocols to actually upload to the remote repository as the Git user. So I'll add that. Let's see. And then now I'm going to make a directory. I'm going to make a base directory /git, and that's where I'm going to put all my Git repositories. And then I'm going to change the owner of that folder to the Git user and hit the Git group, his default group. There we go. So now he should be the owner of that folder. Now, if I try to switch users to do a sudo switch user git, it should fail. And you should get this nice failure which says interactive git shell is not enabled. It gives you this hint basically saying the shell command shouldn't exist because you gave it this git shell. Now there's a way around it as long as you're logged in. I can do sudo switch user git, and I can assign the shell I want to use as I change over that user. So I'll do that. So now I'm the Git user. Who am I? And I'll go down to the Git repo, and I'll make a new directory, and I'll make a directory, and I'll leave it the same as the other one. I'll call it pushtest.git, so it just matches. Doesn't have to. And I'll go in there. And now what I'll do in here is I'll do a git init --bare. And so this is going to be a bare repository. Nothing's technically going to be there, but it enables it so it can initially be pushed to from someplace else. Then once it's pushed to, then once it's pushed to, then it's kind of initialized, and now you can't do it again the second time. But anyway, that's what you do. You have this thing, and so now that's almost ready to be pushed to. That folder is ready to be pushed to, but there's some other things I got to do. So if I cd and go into my home directory, Git's home directory, I need to set up my keys. So I'll do ssh-keygen type rsa-bit 4096. So I'll create my public private keys, let it do its automatic thing. And then what I have to do now is I need to allow my Gollum user to be able to access this machine, SSH to it as the Git user. So I need to get the public key from my Gollum user and put it over here in the authorized keys of Gollum. So I'll do that, SSH, and you're not gonna be there. I guess you're not there by default. Authorized key. So I'll open up that file. Then I need to go over to my Gollum guy here, and I'll say, I'll go into idrsa.pub. That's my public key. And I'll just grab it. And let me cat it. That's what I'm used to doing. So I'll put that, copy it all, and just paste it in here. There's other ways to get it there, just cut and paste. Easy enough. Sometimes Sigwin can be a pain. Like right now. There we go. And then just save it. Okay, so now I should be able to have access to this machine from Gollum. But before I do that, let me exit out of my Git user. My Git user right now is actually locked. That's how he was made by default. So there's two things I need to do. I need to set his password. So I'll just give him a password. And then I will also unlock them. So sudo usermod -u get. And so now it should be unlocked. So we should be good to go. And an easy way to prove that out is I can go back over to my Gollum machine, which should be able to log into my Git remote repository server as the Git user. So I'll do get. And in my case, that server lives on 192.168.0.142. So if I do this, it shouldn't reject it, but I should get that error because I can't get into the shell. Permission denied. Oh, yeah. I do one other thing. So I'll probably blank this out because I don't want to show everything in the universe. In my case, I have some extra stuff set up to secure my SSH. So my SSH only allows certain users. So I will actually go in here and edit my configuration file, do a little tweak because right now the Git user is not allowed to do it. And then I have to do I could restart my computer. I can do a sudo system control, restart sshd service. Okay, in theory I'm good now. So now if I try it, and most of you don't have that kind of setup, but if you do, you're still denying me. Okay, I did something funny. Let me go back and check and see what I did. Okay, I found it. All it was a typo. So you probably didn't have the mistake I had. There was a little typo in my authorized keys when I copied it over. That's all I did. So now if I try to SSH over there, it should work in a sense, but I'll get this fatal interactive Git shell is not enabled. That's exactly what I want. So once I have that set up, I'm good to go. To the next thing. So the next thing, I want to connect. I want to get my local repo here on this machine, on the Gollum machine, connected and pushing up to the remote machine. And that's relatively easy. So the first thing I got to do, so I'll do git status, I'm right there. And I'll do a git, I can do git remote, and I'll see that I have no remotes connected right now. And I'll do git remote, add origin master, the master being the branch I'm on, and git at 192.168.0. In my case, 142. And then the location. The location, this will be /get. It's going to be in the base directory of that machine. And push test.get. and I did something wrong. What did I do? Git remote add origin. Okay, I don't see the difference. Let me go do a cut and paste here. Maybe I just flipped something. So git remote add origin, get, oh, add origin. Oh, I don't need the master, sorry. Git remote add origin. Yeah, you don't, well, that makes no sense with branches, yeah, because you can push branches up. That was dumb of me. So git add origin, and then the get, then the location. Okay, now we've added it. So now if I do a git remote, I should see that it's there, and then I can do a git push origin master. But before I do that, if I go over here to this box, I do git, and I go into the same repository. I think I can do a git login 1. Yep. And if I do that, I get nothing because nothing's there yet. So if I go over here and I do a push, git push origin master, it should push the information up. And so now that should all be here. And there I go. I got the information. So it did push it up just fine. Now for me, I don't like to do that all the time, the git push origin master. I just like to do a git push and pull. And so to fix that, you can do a git push to make it that your default remote. I can do -- set upstream. All right. And then origin master. And then I can do a git config -- global push.default simple. But I need to go look it up again. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I think if you do that, it does not automatically push all the branches. It just pushes the branch you're on. But don't quote me on that. There we go. So that should be set up. So now if I do a test, I'll just echo something out and I'll append it to the file we already have. So now things have changed. And I'll commit it. I'll just call it second commit. And if I look over here, I haven't pushed it yet. So do a git log n2. I should see the first and the second commit. If I do it over here, I only see the first commit because I haven't pushed it yet. If I do a git push, it should push up just fine, and I should see both. So there we go. So that is working. So I have the remote repository set up, I have the local repository set up and connected, and they're pushing, and I could pull too. I could do a clone, and that should work just fine too. So the next thing is, how do I get, before I even get into Gollum, how do I get the client-side Git Hook working so that when I do a commit on the local repository, that it will push up to the remote repository? Okay, I'm not going to get into any great detail on Git Hooks, but I am going to go write some Git Hooks. So here is the URL for Git Hooks, so you can go read up on it. And I'll put it in the show notes too. But basically, at certain parts in the Git process, you can have hooks. So at certain places where it does things, you can fire off these hooks and you can do things. You interrupt things, or you can run any kind of custom code. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to make a custom hook on the Gollum server on that side. So if I go, and also hooks are not part of your Git repository. They're local. You can make them there, but they're not going to be saved. So they're not going to go around. They're only going to be on that one server you create them on. So here I'll go into the base here for the Git, in this guy, and do a vi.get. So now I'm in that folder. I can go into hooks, and I can create a post commit. And then in here I can put whatever I want. This file will be executed no matter what it is. I mean, if you wanted to, you could write Python code in here, or Scala, or any kind of thing you want to do. It's just this is going to be executed every time during the process, like at a post commit, which I'd have to go look it up when that occurs, but after the entire commit process is completed, post commit. So we're at the end, which is what I want. Once it's all committed, then I want to automatically push it up to the remote repository, which in many cases you don't want to do, but in the case of Gollum, I want that to happen. Every time I edit a Gollum wiki page and it gets committed locally, I want it to automatically push it up. So in here, I've got I'll copy and paste it, but it is very bare bones. It's just a bash script. And so let me save it and open it again. So all it's going to do is it's just going to run here in the base directory, git push origin master. That's all it's going to do. And so it's as simple as that. Now there could be conflicts, there could be problems, you might have issues you run into, and this does not account for those. I figured this is my Gollum server, I'm the only one using it, not a lot of weird things are going to happen, and the day that it does, I could probably go investigate it and fix it. But it can be as simple as that. So I'll just save that. Now the other thing you have to do is you have to make it executable. So I'll make it executable to all. .git hooks post commit. And we'll look in there. Just look at them all just in case. So you can see they put some in there, but they're not doing anything right now. They're just samples. If I'm thinking correctly, anything with a dot sample on the end is just not going to be executed. Okay, and in fact, I think they only execute certain named ones like post commit, post update, things like that. Okay, so now if I do something, let me go do something. So if I go back over to my Git guy here, my Git remote repository, and I look at everything here. I just have the first and the second commit here. That's all I got. So now I will do something. I'll echo new stuff out to that test file I have. I'll just call it third commit. Now, when I commit this, in theory, it should run that post commit and run that command, which basically is just going to push it up. So that got done here. And if I look at the logs, I got first, second, and third. And if I look them over here, I should have first, second, and third. And I do. So that is working. Okay. Now, the next thing is fixing Gollum. Now, in theory, Gollum should work, but there is a problem with how it handles hooks, Git hooks in the way that Gollum is working. So we'll have to go fix a few things. Okay, so let's go start the Gollum server to show you show you it's not working. So if I go into that folder, I kick off Gollum for the first time. There is no files in here. And it slowly starts up. Okay, there we go. Now if I open a page, I got nothing there, and so I can go make a new page. And there's my first page commit, right? And I guess I can leave a note, first page commit, and that should be part of the commit log, right? So I hit save. My page gets made just fine. But now let me go back here and kill this. And if I do a git log -n2, and I can see there's my first page commit. So that worked, it committed it locally. However, if I go over here and do a git log -n2, I don't see it. I see the third commit. It did not fire that off. Turns out Gollum has some issues, so it's not doing the git hooks at all. And so if you go here, and there's a link, I'll put a link in the show notes, you can go here and read through the issue, and at the very bottom of this page there is a solution, and that's what I'm going to implement. It turns out you can write some custom configuration for Gollum and have it run. So all we got to do, and I don't have to put it here, but I guess it depends on your needs. It doesn't have to be in your Git repository, but you may want to put it there, just so you remember where it is, but it could be somewhere else. All you gotta do is, let me stop. Just create a config.rb Ruby file, and then just dump the following in it. It's kind of that simple. And that's all it's gonna do. So post commit, you put a hook ID, and what this is gonna do is it will go run that exact post commit that we created. That's all it's gonna run. If I go put some more hooks in there, you're going to have to write some more code. I only need the one hook. So I'm just going to add the one piece of code and call it good. So save that. But now if I run Gollum, it's still not going to work. You have to reference this. So you have to do Gollum config, and then reference wherever that config file is. It doesn't have to be in your repository. In fact, right now it's not because I haven't added it, right? So I'll do that. And now this should start up. But it started up, but nothing's technically changed, so it probably hasn't pushed it. Yeah, it hasn't pushed it yet. So it hasn't pushed it, but now I can go back over here to Gollum. So the next commit, it will work, he says, hopefully. I'll say second commit, second Gollum commit on page, and save it. So now, hopefully now it fired off. And there it is, the second Gollum commit on page. So, and I see the first page commit too. So it fired off, so it worked. So now, that's all you got to do to have Gollum push up its changes to a remote repository. Now for me, that's not enough. That's fine, that's part of what I want to do. But I also want to have Gollum pull down the remote repository if it changes. And so what I'm going to do, that's the next part I'm going to do, is try to do auto pulling so that it will pull down any changes I might push to it from someplace else. Okay, so to get this working that way, all I'm really going to do is I'm going to put a hook on the remote Git repository that all it's going to do is SSH over to the Gollum repository and into the right directory and do a pull, a Git pull. That's all it's going to do. So very, very basic. And for my needs, that's going to be all I need. So all I need to do here is, so first I need to get, my Git user needs SSH permission access to my Gollum. So I can go in here, sudo switch user git shell bin bash, and then get down to the base directory and do a cat on ssh id rsa.pub. Grab the public key. And then over here, I'm going to need to add it to my authorized keys again, but now on this side. So just a big, another cut and paste, and this time actually get all of it. Last time we didn't do a good job of that. Okay, so save it. And then just make sure that I can log over there. Let's see. And it looks like I can, so that part is set up. Then I have to go down here and get to the Git repository. And then I need to, in this case I don't have a dot folder, I actually am in the Git folder because it's a bare one. So I'll buy into hooks and post receive. That's what someone suggested, which I think is pretty close, or maybe might be at the same point for a post commit, but I'd have to go look it up. But that's the one I'm editing. And so all I'm going to do is I made this little piece of code that you can tweak. I'll put it in the show notes somewhere. And so let me tweak it. Okay, and so there's some initial settings. I just did that to make everyone's life a little easier if you want to utilize this piece of code. So all you have to do is actually set your username, the username that you're going to SSH to on the Gollum machine, put in your Gollum IP address, and the directory where that will be. And then all it's going to do is it's going to, since if I push somewhere else to the Git repository, after the commit, it'll actually have the new SHA for that version. So it's going to do a little command. Actually, it's going to do this command, which is going to get the local SHA. And once I have that, then it's going to go over to the Gollum server and do an SSH over there and basically run the same thing. It's going to go to that directory, run the same thing, get the SHA for that. And then see if they agree. Because in truth, every single time I commit from the Gollum repository, and it'll get pushed up here, And then this will get committed here, and then it should run this command, if I'm thinking correctly. And if it comes from the Gollum server, then I don't need to actually do a git pull because it's the same thing. And so it actually does a check to see if they're the same. And if they're the same, it'll do nothing. So are they the same? No. I mean, yes, then do nothing. If they're different, then actually do something. SSH over to the Gollum machine and just run a git pull origin master. That's all it's going to do. So save that. Oh. Make sure it's okay. And if I wanted to, I could run it by hand, I guess. But let me change it to make it executable for everybody. Hooks, post to receive. There we go. And we're good to go, right? Yeah, that's good. Now let me go over here and start Gollum up again. Make sure she's going. Okay, so she's working, nothing's changed. Now if I go into well, this is technically the same Gollum server, but I'll just go to the temp directory. And I just will do a git clone git at git push test.get. Oh, I've done this before. Sorry, it's right there. All right. Do this the other day. Let me remove it and try it again. Okay, now I'm cloning it down. Pull down the thing, so now I'm in a different location. It might as well be a different server. And here I can see the home.md. So I'll open it up, and I'll just edit it by hand here. Third change. This change was done on another repo. And pushed to the remote repository. So I'll add it, I'll commit it, added from non-Gollum repo. And then I'll push it. If I push it up, I should see it over here. Added from non-Gollum repo, so it did get pushed to the remote repository. Now let's see if it got pushed over. Hopefully it did. And there we are, third change, so hooray. And so I can keep doing that back and forth. I can come in here and change it again, hit a save, and then I can do a git, that should have pushed it to the remote repository. I do a git pull, and look at it again, there it is. Change it here again, one last change. Stop that. Oh. To the last change from other repo. And let's see if that took. And there you go. So that's kind of it. So now that's how you set up a whole thing. So you can take a basic Gollum, you can put a configuration file in there, you get everything talking together with hooks. And so between all of that, now I've got to, whenever I commit on the Gollum server, it'll be pushed to the remote repository. And if ever I push anything else up to the remote repository from another repo, it will tell the Gollum server to do a git pull, basically. It's not fancy, but for my purposes, it should work. And I guess that's the end of this exciting video. Thanks for watching. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please give it a like. To subscribe, just click the subscribe button. Also, you can follow me on Twitter under the handle @whiteboardcoder.com, view any code I may have thrown up as a gist at GitHub under the username PatmanDenver, or check out my blog site at whiteboardcoder.com.